Where do you go when you have to go, but you can't go? Maybe in a 5 gallon toilet. Hey, I'm Todd with Ready Your Future, and this is another article in the 25 articles that every prepper should read. Hey, we're going to base this edition off of an article from preparednessadvice.com. The article is entitled Sanitation and the Uses of Bucket Toilets. Now, I think this is something that everyone needs to consider. I talk a lot about sanitation when we, on the podcast, on different articles that I've written and things like that. And this is something that you really need to consider because a lot of people don't think about this. They always think that the water is going to be running, on the tab. They always think they're going to be able to go flush the toilets and that's going to be working. And the reality is that it isn't. So this story, this article, basically starts out with a story. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to the website, again, preparednessadvice.com. And it starts off with a story about a storm and the fact that, everybody was in the basement and they were ready to go. This guy who was talking about all the preparedness things that he had already in place, and he's kind of proud of it. They had their safe place. They had the mattresses down there. They had candles. They had all that kind of stuff. And it was finally until the daughter said, "Hey, I need to go to the restroom. What do we do?" Well, a tree had already hit the corner of the house. And so, that was already a deal. And the storm was kind of, roaring outside. So this guy, he does like everybody else, kind of thinking like, hey, go to the 5 gallon toilet. Here's a 5 gallon toilet. Go ahead and go there. And his daughter kind of freaks out and was like, hey, wait a minute. No, I'm not going in a toilet. I'm not going in a bucket, right? So she winds up, getting upset. She's a teenage girl. She runs upstairs, with the storm going and all that kind of stuff happening. And she uses the restroom up there. And come to find out, there's a lot of other family members that needed to go as well. So they go up there too. And he starts thinking about this aspect of using the toilet. This is a big, big deal. I remember reading stories about Hurricane Sandy where people went to, power was out and you're living in apartment complexes and high rises and the power is out. Well, in a home, a lot of the times, depending on where you're at, you might still be able to get water into the home. But in high rises, you need to be able to pump water up to the high rises. One of the stories that came out is that people started using the restroom in the hallways. People started using the restrooms in the stairwells and things like that. And it became very, very nasty. In fact, one of the things that he says at the very end of this article, and I'm actually going to go there, he cites an issue that happened in New Zealand, Auckland, New Zealand. In 1998, January 20, 1998, a supply cable failed, an electrical supply cable, and it caused a domino effect for everybody else. And so anyway, one of the things is like people were without power for 5 weeks, okay? So think about there's, let me see, he goes 6,000 apartment dwellers, 8,000 businesses, employing 70,000 people. Only 70,000 people in the city. Well, I want to go down to what one blogger says here. He says, one blogger writing at the time of the disaster reported, people in general are not smart. Rather than try and conserve or make a plan once the water stopped flowing, they would flush their toilets. Without power, the tank doesn't refill. The effect is not only gross, but staggering. What human beings that have never lived beyond modern conveniences will do is unimaginable. When people were actually confronted with such a situation, they went wherever they could. They filled the toilet tank, the tub, the shower, the sink. When the bathrooms became uninhabitable, they went in corners, boxes, bags, closets. Most, however, left by the time they were using the tub. Guess how long that took? That's right, 3 days. Man, that is absolutely crazy to think about that. And so when you're like, there's no way that people were doing all of that. Yeah, when people don't have any kind of clue of what to do. People, all you've ever known is you go in, you use the restroom in the toilet. And then you throw on top of that, you don't have power. You have the stress of all of that, and you're not getting information from the government, and you're not doing this, and you're not doing that, and you throw all of that together, and it's like, what in the heck? People are like, I'm just going to go wherever I need to go. Have you ever seen the video? I've seen it on social media of that guy that's in the airport, and he's just like having issues, and he gets a mop bucket right in front of everybody. He just drops his pants right there, and he uses it. It's like, what the heck, man? So people don't really think about things like this. And it's really important because when sanitation gets out of control, that's when you have all the issues. There's a couple of other things that he says in here. I thought this was really interesting when you're thinking about, if you want some data, right? You want some data to kind of help you along with this. According to some sources, the average person creates 1 ounce of fecal matter for every 12 pounds of body weight every day. All right, I want to show this to you. This is crazy. So if you weigh 200 pounds, your output of solid waste is a little under 1.5 pounds. I put solid in parentheses because fecal matter is said to be about 3/4 water. In a family of 5 averaging 200 pounds each, that's a little over 5 pounds a day, or 156 pounds per month, and it's got to go somewhere. So the problem here is that if you don't take care of this, like I said, that's where you have all your issues. That's where malaria kicks in. That's where cholera kicks in. That's where all these issues, and you see that a lot in third world countries where they don't have the sanitation kind of built in, the infrastructure built in. But that could easily happen, anywhere in the first world country if, for whatever reason, the power goes out, water is not flowing, and then so what will you do? The thing that I always kind of consider is you want to make sure that your home is going to be able to go back to normal as fast as possible. If you were these people who were pooping in sinks and pooping in tubs and pooping in all over, in the toilet tank when they couldn't find another place to poop, then you're going to have some serious problems. Not only getting sick and having that happen to you, but you're also going to have to deal with the cleanup after that. So we've heard in the prepper community for many, many years is use a bucket. And that's part of the issue here, that this guy was ready to go with this bucket in this article, but his family wasn't ready. And one of the things he does say here is, like, afterwards he was just imagining that people would go to a corner of the basement and use it, drop their pants and use it there. The problem is there was no privacy. And so one of the things that we're going to work on was having some kind of like curtain, a shower curtain or some kind of system set up to where you could use the restroom, and at least people wouldn't be looking at you or didn't have the option to look at you. The other thing that you need to consider here is when you go to the restroom, it's going to smell. There's going to be smell. There's going to be issues there. So you need to be able to cover up that smell, because if not, if you're in a basement and it was a small basement, pretty soon it's going to get pretty raunchy with you when you have all your family down there. So one of the things that he used was kitty litter, and you can throw kitty litter in there. The problem with that is, like, if you're not switching out the bags so often, then you're going to have problems with the kitty litter and then the bags weighing a whole lot. Other people have said, so when you look at the lovable loo, and that is a way of using human manure, and so that's another addition that we can talk about. But you can always use dried leaves, you can use sawdust, you can use those kinds of things. The thing that you also want to consider is maybe you're switching out the bag a lot faster. So after every use, you're switching out the bag. The problem is where you're going to put it. So this guy was in a storm and it was in the basement. And so his idea was, maybe I put a bag inside of a bag, I double bag it. And so that way, it cuts down on the smell, and it cuts down on the possibility of a bag busting and then going all over the place. And then you have all of that kind of mess. One of the things that has come out recently that I think is pretty cool, because not only, at the very, when you're thinking preparedness, you're thinking these plastic bags. One of the things that people think is, okay, they're not biodegradable. So what are you going to do? Okay, you're going to do a landfill, or let's just say you're going to have to go dump this stuff somewhere in your backyard or wherever you are. And the thing is, like, okay, you're going to throw this in there and it's not biodegradable, and you're going to have plastic bags all over your backyard or wherever you're putting this, right? The thing is, like, recently they've come out with biodegradable bags, and I think this is a great thing to consider. So I'm going to go over. I just want to look at this really quickly. From over at Amazon, there are things called Better Boat, and these are 45 toilet bags for portable potty bags that are biodegradable, for composting biodegradable portable toilets, and for 5-gallon bucket toilet seat poop bags, right? And so that's one of those things. The other thing is like adding a toilet seat. So I remember back in the day when I bought mine when we were going up to the country, and it was nice and off grid, right? We were using a bucket, and there's only a couple of choices. Now there are so many on Amazon. You can go and check them out that range, all over, that have, better lids that will seal. So if you're trying to contain smell and things like that, and that's one of those options that I would highly recommend. I've seen people use pool noodles before. I just don't know how well those are going to work, and I'm not willing to do that. If I need to use a 5-gallon bucket, I am going to use one of these seats. They're only $15-$20 for a decent one, and you're able to use them and kind of go from there. Like always, look at the reviews and things like that. I'm actually going to link to these products so that if you want to go check them out, you can, and maybe make a purchase. You never know when you might need it, so it's always good to have it. Just let me go ahead and close with this. One of the things that we did when we were going up to the country and we were off grid is I cut out the bottom of the bucket. And so we knew that we were going to be going up there on a regular basis. And it was basically what I created was kind of like a makeshift outhouse. So I had a PVC frame that I was able to build, and I was able to put plastic around it so that or shower curtain, whatever you want to put there, so that you would have your privacy. Dug a hole down into the ground and set the bucket over it, and then I lined the bucket with a plastic bag and cut out the bottom of the plastic bag. So basically you had the 5-gallon bucket, you had the seat. If you went to the restroom, whatever you pooped, it went straight into the hole. Then you can just move the bucket, throw a little bit of dirt down, and then you put the bucket right back over the hole for the next person that needed to use it. And so we used that a couple of times out there until we got the system put in. And so that was one of those things. I wish I would have taken pictures at least of the system that I had, because I thought it would, it worked really well. It gave people the privacy. You didn't have to deal with all the plastic bags and things like that. It went right into the ground. And of course, in the ground, whatever waste you put in there, it's going to, it's going to degrade a lot faster than if it was in a plastic bag. So anyway, so there you go. All right, guys, listen, if you are interested in the 25 articles that every prepper should read, I'm going to link to that on in the description so that you can go and you can click on that and you can get those. Some of these are, you can't even find them anymore. This one that we read from Preparedness Articles, it's an older article and it's still there, but a lot of the other articles are not there. And so this is just one of those additions, episodes in the series, or where I'm kind of going through all those 25 articles. So if you want to go check out all of them, all at one time, you can go ahead and you can download that PDF. All right, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. God bless. We'll see you in the next one.